Alright, so today we're back with another game design discussion, I guess. And today we're starting to watch videos from NakeyJakey, which is a great channel that talks about game design and talks about other stuff. In this case, the power of video game music, which he doesn't, for example, consider it in his game design playlist, but it is definitely part of the game design. Although he talks a little bit more about how, I guess, music is made or how you make music for games, which is interesting, but it is, of course, still somewhat part of the game design. So anyways, let's start. I love this guy. I love like the content he has and the thoughts that he has about games and game design. And so yeah, which is why I guess I'll incorporate it into the discussion as well. So anyway, let's start.
Video game music is kind of crazy, in the sense that it's not exactly like anything else. I mean, when a composer is tasked with scoring a game like Super Metroid, they gotta be like, alright, when the player is in the underground depths of Brinstar, what the hell should that sound like? How can I help build this world the player is exploring with some fire melodies? Not only that, but I gotta make something that can loop without getting annoying and has a selection of sounds that fit the overall atmosphere of the game. The end result is this. Samus shooting everywhere. Blah! The thing about video game music, though, is that its application isn't even just limited to building an atmosphere. There's music made for title screens, music made for menu screens, music that changes to...
For sure, yeah, and I definitely think menu music is underrated a lot of the time. Because it's, like I always say, well, menus in general, in my opinion, are underrated. Because for me, it's the first thing you see when you start a game, and the first thing to listen to is the menu music in this scenario. And it's so important, and most of the times when you recognize music from games, when you associate music to a certain game, it's usually the song played in the menu. Because that's the one you're most likely going to pick up and end up remembering, because you're always listening to it when you start, playing the game. But yeah. Which is why I think more time would definitely be spent designing menus for sure.
What the player is doing. Music that lets the player know, dude, you're fucked. Music that maybe only plays in a safe place, or music that's used in the most unexpected ways to surprise and affect the shit out of the player.
Yeah, there's definitely, for me, also a difference between music that is there as background noise and music that is there as like a good soundtrack of the action or whatever is happening. Like, for example, I always talk about how good is the Red Dead Redemption 2 soundtrack. Like he showed here Red Dead Redemption 1, which I haven't played, so I can't really talk about. But Red Dead Redemption 2, for me, none of the songs are very that memorable. Like, I can't really remember. If you play me a song from Red Dead Redemption, I might get the mood from it, but I'm not really gonna say, oh, this is a song from Red Dead Redemption. But it's so well made because it just as background noise, and it accompanies the game so well. But it's not like a soundtrack type music where you a big importance comes from the music itself, But it goes very, very well.
I've separated my examples into 4 unique categories. World building, shit's happening, player association, and...
Surprise, motherfucker!
So...
Fair enough, yeah. So we can talk about that.
World building, shit's happening, player association, and...
For sure. So I don't know exactly what he means by world building, but I guess we'll know. Like, shit's happening is basically, it puts you into the action, right? Action is happening, you have this, like, high BPM kind of music really pumping you and like, trying to get the thing. Play association, I guess, is trying to convey, like, a little emotions, like you've got some, like, nice romantic scene, you put, like, some romantic music, or stuff like that. And surprise, honestly, I don't know, but we'll see.
Surprise, motherfucker!
So, world building is that hot shit I talked about like a minute ago with Super Metroid. That shit that's there to give the player even more insight and understanding of the atmosphere they're in. I'm talking Silent Hill 2 soundscapes, Donkey Kong Country aquatic ambience, underneath a rotting pizza fucking fire.
I guess that's kind of what he means, more like a soundscape. I think that word is pretty good. Just, yeah, the explanation, just using a soundscape, I guess, to kind of more internalize that player, or put that player in the ambience of the location, I guess.
Oh, shit. Okay. Yo, I got purple pants, cause I'm running all around. The world building stuff isn't even just limited to original music either. Licensed music like in the Fallout or Grand Theft Auto series can be just as effective at pulling you into that universe. Like, when I'm playing Vice City and I'm doing some naughty shit to some Laura Branigan, I don't feel like Jakey anymore. I feel like Scarface, like, Mom, look, I know you named me Jakey Christ, and that's my maiden name and all, but, sorry, I'm Scarface now. Shit's happening, is that shit that...
Yeah, I mean, for sure, like, I mean, I've always talked about this, how good for me is the radios in Fallout specifically. I feel like there's two ways to play, like, it changes so much whether you're just playing Fallout or you're just playing Fallout with the soundtrack, with the radio on, because the radio gives you this kind of, like, nice, like, 30s, 40s music, and you're just blasting away different enemies and stuff, and it just changes the mood of the game so much. I think it's just so fun.
That plays that lets you know what kind of business you're getting into. Battle music, boss battle music,
yeah.
Shit that plays when you get caught in Metal Gear Solid, shit that plays when you finally figured out how to stab some giants in Shadow of the Colossus. Really, anything that plays to let the player know, alright, baby chicken, something is happening, and here's some extra motivation to
and
keep
you change,
going.
like, in
and then you have
gameplay,
games that have music that's kind of like a 2-for-1 combo family pack. Stuff that does some effective world building and motivates the player at the same time. Like, take this track from the first Hotline Miami game.
And I guess a good example is also the Doom soundtrack in general. Kind of does both.
Style and sounds not only let me know what kind of universe this game takes place in, but it makes me want to fight people. Player association, as I've brilliantly labeled it,
right?
It's stuff that's kind of like shit's happening, but a little bit more specific and organic. So if you've played Left 4 Dead, you know that when you hear this shit, oh man, it's about to get spooktacular. Or maybe when you hear this, you know a pissed off tank is on his way to murder Suey, you and your friends. These tracks are the same throughout all the campaigns in the game, but instead of just motivating the player, they're used more like a tool, a way of communicating to the player without...
Alright, so he means player association in that way. So it's used as an extra, like, way of conveying information, actually. Okay, I see.
Putting any annoying text on the screen. The early Resident Evil games do a similar thing as well. Because the music that plays in the save rooms is always going to be the same, it is a immediate ginormous relief to enter a room in Code Veronica and be treated to this tight little piece.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. When you use music in very specific scenarios, you know, the player ends up associating that song to a specific thing, like a specific event, I guess. In this case, that you're in a safe spot, or in the previous case in Left 4 Dead, that, you know, some specific enemy is nearby or whatever. I think this is clever, and I feel like it's not used enough. I mean, it is used in I think, in an unconscious way, in the sense that a lot of the times you've got this, you know, shop music, or you've got this, like, menu music, or you've got these other types of, whenever you change, like, scenario, scene, or whatever, it plays a different song, and if that scene repeats, in the sense, like, you've got that same shop, whatever, or that same type of shop, then the same song always plays. So then you will end up kind of associating that song to that specific location, but I think a lot of the times it's mostly done by mistake. I think so this example of the safe spot is what I say, that it might have been done by mistake in a way, but of course the one that I think should be used more often is the one to convey information, like he mentioned in Left 4 Dead. I think that one is not used enough for sure.
Because of the nature of it, video game music is already going to stick with you because you've spent so much dang time in that game. But when the music is associated with an emotion connected to the gameplay, whoo, that's that really powerful shit. Surprise motherfucker is the stuff that is largely unexplored in most big budget titles. Moments in games where music is used in an unconventional way that surprises the player for a unique emotional response. But because of the nature of these surprise motherfucker moments, if you haven't played Metal Gear Solid 3, Red Dead Redemption, or Splinter Cell Conviction, maybe stop watching this video and just quickly go play those games. Red Dead is only like 30 hours, you'll be fine. Alright, going back to the video in 3, 2, 1. Jesus. Thank God those people are gone. So in Snake Eater, there's this moment where you're climbing this giant-ass ladder. The game needs to put you in the mountains to advance the story and shit, but instead of just using a cutscene or whatever, Kojima was like, nah, man, let's throw a ladder in there. Maybe he's a wrestling fan, I don't fucking know. But it ends up being this really memorable moment because some way up the ladder, this lady just starts singing the theme song.
What a thrill. Darkness and silence through the night.
It's fucking amazing. It's an
I
effective...
feel like in this case, it's a bit kind of like those like artistic movies where they go more for like weird stuff and like trying to surprise the audience with like newer and more creative scenarios, I guess, or situation or like artistic choices, more than a purpose for the game itself. So this scene, for example, is gameplay wise is boring. Like there's nothing to it, right? But he insists on doing it and adds this extra layer of like, yeah, but we're gonna add this kind of song to it, which makes it more memorable. And maybe this is probably, I haven't played the game, but probably is actually a moment of relaxation for like a big event that might happen afterwards. There might be at like a big tipping point after this scene in the game. That's what I'm assuming. Again, I have not played the game, but it kind of would work like as a breathing time, and really as a time to kind of maybe think about what the whole story has been until now, because after this, everything's gonna change, kind of thing. I think that's how I would think of it, potentially. I don't know if
moment that reminds the player what this journey is all about and gets you fucking jacked. It doesn't feel like the game is taking any control away, but instead it's like the hand of God. In this case, Kojima just reaching down and being like, right on, Snake Boy. Keep it up. Red Dead Redemption has a similar moment when you first ride into Mexico. It's still an open world game at this point. I mean, you can stop riding your horse and go shoot someone in the dick whenever you want, but as you ride into the beautiful country, this Jose Gonzalez track just starts playing.
Step in front of a runaway train, just to feel alive again.
It's a really special moment to remind the player of John Marston.
I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 doesn't do this, because whenever you have in long travels, as in you're going somewhere else, it's usually accompanied by a cinematic eventually. Or kind of. You know, sometimes you do have like a more like written thing, but it's usually you're never like actually alone in those situations. I feel. So I think there hasn't been this big memorable moment in Red Dead Redemption. Definitely does it though in certain specific scenarios to put big songs.
Quest and to reflect on the journey so far. It's fucking fantastic. And there's also surprising moments with music and video games that aren't necessarily quiet moments like these two examples. There's this really intense part in Splinter Cell Conviction when Sam finally finds out what the fuck happened to his daughter. He starts raging. And while this is going on, DJ Shadow's building steam with a grain of salt slowly starts creeping up in the background.
Sam! What? You have to listen to me. What's done is done.
When the game switches back to gameplay, this song keeps playing, and during the sequence, the player has infinite mark and executes, so they can just stroll through enemies like a total pissed off dad to this awesome song choice. It's fucking awesome. I also use that song on my Marth video if you want to go watch that. It's got like 50k views. It's whatever. Now, these are just a few examples. I mean, I didn't cover all of the applications of video game music, but what I'm trying to say is just use that shit. At least to developers. I mean,
take
you're
more
probably not a
advantage of it
developer.
for sure.
Maybe you'll go make a game now. That'd be sick. But music is an insanely valuable tool, especially when creating a video game.
And a lot of the times underrated, I think. I mean, a lot of the times also, because obviously I mostly say it as an indie perspective, right? And it's true that a lot of the times it's underused, mostly because of budget. Like, you can't start. First of all, your game is probably not gonna be that long, so you're not gonna have these kind of scenes where maybe like a different song fits. But then you just can't maybe just get that many songs. So if you have, which is why I think a lot of the times you end up just having, you've got these shop songs. So then technically you have this a little bit of that player association thing, but not really. Like, it's not on purpose, because you don't have the budget to do songs for each specific scenario and stuff like that. But yeah, but that is I think, for example, the example from Left 4 Dead when he said when you have the different enemies and you've got these like pieces of soundtrack, these motifs, I guess, that play whenever an enemy joins, like is nearby, specific enemy is nearby. That could definitely be used more often, and those are more, again, motif, more small melodies that you can potentially try to fit into soundtrack that you already have, more than actually having a whole different song for it. And I think this could definitely be used a lot more often, to be honest. Of course, you still need someone to create those, someone to create that soundtrack, and then someone to that same person figuring out like small pieces of melodies, motifs that you could play somewhat whenever in that song, and it should work out. It's still like a decent amount of work.
If you're like me and you've spent so much time playing video games, the music isn't really just music anymore. It's something intangible that has been stapled to your identity as a reminder of what you love to do. At least that's how I feel.
All right, that was it. Yeah, I mean, some great ideas for sure. I mean, it's mostly, I think, it's mostly a video of, reminding people how good music is in video games and how good it can be, and how I feel like just reminding developers music can make a big difference. Don't underestimate it, I guess. A great video. I love his style of video making for sure. His newer videos when you can see him in person as well are very, very good, and we'll definitely go over them eventually. So anyways, yeah, that was a video from NakeyJakey. The link will be in the description like always, and thanks for watching, and see you next time. All right, bye bye.